Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the day that the Lord has made. We are rejoicing and we are glad in it. Today is Thursday, June 13th, 2024. We are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. And you, my friends, are watching the Ramon Preston Show. Do me a quick favor, hit the like button, hit the share button. You know you ought to tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know that the Ramon Preston Show is live. And please put in the comments, what city, what state, what country, I don't know, what planet you're watching the Ramon Preston Show from today. Please let me know. Put in the comments what city, what state you're watching the Ramon Preston Show from. I would really appreciate it. My team and I are so grateful. We're humbled, we're honored to always have an opportunity to share information with you. What we share on this show, what I share on social media, most of the time is content, information that's designed for entrepreneurs, small business owners, leaders, people who want to take their organizations and operations to the next level. I'm a business and real estate consultant, coach, and I'm a teacher. I'm an educator at heart. And so I, first of all, want to live the concepts and principles first. And once I figure out things that work for business, work for products, services, systems, processes, real estate, I bring it here to share with my community to help you elevate your game. So again, hit like, hit share, put what city you're watching the Ramon Preston Show from. I appreciate all of you for being a part of our community. Whether you are following me on social media, whether you are a part of our business or ministry community, just know we appreciate your support. We appreciate you taking the time out to join us. For those of you that are new to the show, maybe this is your first time watching the show, I want you to know my name is Ramon Preston. I'm the host of the Ramon Preston Show, and we come here live as often as we possibly can to share information with you that can help you properly start, structure, and at some point scale your business. Maybe you have a ministry, your income streams. So welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me. We are live here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. My team, my squad, they will be engaging and interacting with you in the chat, in the comments. So if at any point you have a question that you want to ask about your business, about your finances, about real estate, whatever the question is, you're free to put that question in the comments. If you're watching me from Instagram, thank you, first of all, but unfortunately, you're not in the stream with Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and the other platforms that we're able to stream on. So I won't see your comments in the chat. However, my team will look and circle around in Instagram. So if you do have a comment or if you do have a question, feel free to put it in. If we miss your question, we'll always come back and we'll do our best to answer the question. So today, I'm going to be giving you a breakdown of a discussion we had earlier this week. And that discussion was about the 8 keys to building an empire. So most people I talk to who are entrepreneurs, who are small business owners, or who have a desire to become entrepreneurs and small business owners, most people I talk to, they want to build an empire. When I think about an empire, I'm thinking about a business organization that generates at least $100 million. So that means if you're at 6 figures, or if you want to get to 6 figures, 7 figures, or even 8 figures, I personally think that's an amazing goal. I mean, it ain't easy to get to 6 figures. It's definitely not easy to get to 7 figures, 1 million to 9 million. And then 8 figures, you're talking about 10 million to 100 million. When you get to 9 figures, 100 million or more, 10 figures, you at an empire level. Now, some people might feel, hey, if I got $30-40 million, I got an empire. Well, maybe you do. It's just based on what your goals are. It's based on what your metrics are. But for me, when I talk about keys to building an empire, I'm giving you my perspective. I want to be a billionaire, okay? And that means I want 10 figures. So that means anything below 10 figures, it could be considered an empire, but I don't see it that way. Wherever you are, whether you just want to make 6 figures a year in a business or 7 figures, or maybe you just want to take it all the way to the top. My point to you is, earlier this week, we talked about the 8 keys to building an empire. Okay, so today, which is Thursday, and then tomorrow, Friday, I'm going to break down these 8 keys. I want to go a little deeper. I want to get into the weeds of these 8 keys to give you a broader perspective about how they work. I don't always have a lot of time on the show, maybe 30-45 minutes while we're live. So I want to give you a little bit more of a breakdown today and tomorrow from this discussion we had earlier this week. So if you didn't see the discussion, you can always go back on YouTube and rewatch the first video we did on the 8 keys. And this is what we talked about, these 8 keys. These are the keys to building an empire, no matter if you want a 6-figure empire, 7-figure empire, 8-figure empire, or beyond. Number 1, your business structure. Number 2, your brand building. Number 3, tax strategies. 4, high ticket services. 5, your systems and processes. 6, asset accumulation. 7, asset acquisitions. 8, asset management. So when I use these as 8 keys to building an empire, there is so much information you got to learn on each of these 8. I'm still learning all the stuff I need to learn to build an empire. So it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It will happen over time. So between today and tomorrow, I'm going to do a breakdown. Okay. So today I'm going to do a breakdown on, the first 4 right here. I'm going to do a breakdown on these 4. And then tomorrow I'll do a breakdown on the second 4. Okay. And so the breakdown is just giving you a different, broader perspective about how each of these work and why I feel like these are keys. Why do I feel like they're keys to building an empire? So these are the first 4 right here. Okay, this is number 1, your entity structure. Number 2, your brand building. Number 3, your tax strategies. Number 4, your high ticket sales. So this is considered to be like the first 4 keys to building an empire. All right. So let's look at the entity structure. We want to break this down. If you follow me enough, you know I'm a big proponent of the holding company. I want you to have a parent company, a holding company. So this is the first component of your entity structure. You want to have a holding company. Now, if you already have LLCs that are in existence before you found out about a holding company, it doesn't mean you have to dissolve or close those LLCs because you might not have to. It all depends. I talk to people all the time who have existing LLCs, and one of the questions they ask me is, would it be best for me to scrap these 2 or 3 LLCs that I haven't done anything with, start fresh with a new holding company? It depends. I would have to really sit down and take a look at where you are and what you've done with those entities in order to make that decision. Of course, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a tax strategist. I'm not a professional in any of those aspects. I'm an entrepreneur. I have attorneys. I have tax strategists that I pay and that I work with who give me information and education and advice. But I'm an entrepreneur who's looking to build an empire. And I'm not gonna cheat myself just by not knowing what I need to do. So what I'm sharing with you is from an entrepreneur's perspective. It ain't from a lawyer's perspective or a tax person's perspective. Of course, if it's something regarding the legal side or the tax side, you need to talk to them. But what I'm saying to you is, when it comes to just raw information of building a entity structure, you want to have a holding company. And again, if you have LLCs that are existing and they're not holding companies, can you use an existing LLC as a holding company? Well, yes, you can, because it's really not about what type of entity it is as much as it's about what are you doing with it. For example, you can start an LLC and your LLC is a burger joint, right? You just open up a burger joint with that LLC, or you open up an apparel store with that LLC. Can that LLC be used as a holding company? It can be used. Will it be categorized as a holding company? Not according to the Secretary of State. It could be categorized if you draft up a new operating agreement, but it may be categorized as a burger joint. But it doesn't mean you can't use that burger joint LLC and build a enterprise of burger joints under it. So the concept could still be used. However, if you are just starting, or if you want to hit the reset button and restart, it would be best for you to have a holding company, LLC, as your parent company, okay? So when I talk about entity structure, I'm talking about properly setting up a entity structure that makes it easy for you to wrap your mind around, okay? Because again, if I just painted a picture, let's say if you have 4 different businesses that you want to start and that you want to run. Maybe you have a real estate business. Maybe you have an apparel business. Maybe you have a course and coaching business. Maybe you have some other business that you want to do, right? That would be, let's say just hypothetically, you got 4 businesses. Well, my point is, I don't want you to set up an entity structure like this, where you got 4 businesses and you set up 4 different LLCs and you're the owner of all 4. So when I talk about business structure, I'm saying I don't want you to set your business structure up like that. I would prefer you to set your business structure up like this, where you have one as the holding company, and then the holding company owns 3. Now, if you're watching this show live, you can look at both of these examples, even though the artistry is horrible because I'm not an artist, but you could just look at these drafts and you could tell which one looks cleaner, right? This looks cleaner because you own 1 and the one owns 3, as opposed to you owning 4. So when I talk about the entity structure, I'm talking about first and foremost cleaning up how you have it structured. Because you're going to be all over the place with this. You trying to figure out how you're going to run 4 LLCs. You the owner. If any of these make money, whatever the net profits are, that money is being passed up directly to you. And that really, it prevents you from doing a whole lot of things. Where if these make money, I'm giving you one example. Well, the money is going to be passed up to its owner first. Well, you're not the owner, so this is going to be the big bag. But then when the holding company gets that money, the holding company may invest some of that money into another LLC. Some of that activity could be non-taxable. And again, talk to your tax person, because my tax person talked to me about it. Some of it could be non-taxable. Some of it could be taxed, but it could also give you write-offs to lower your tax bill. This structure is how you start building an empire, even as a small business owner, okay? Because most entrepreneurs who start in business, they're not going to get $100,000 of credit lines from the bank. Most entrepreneurs who start a business, they're not going to get a $20,000 credit card from the bank. I don't care what somebody's telling you on the internet. It's not as easy as you think, especially when you ain't got a good credit score, when you maxed out on your current credit cards, when your debt to income ratio is too high. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's just unrealistic to think that you're going to set up an LLC most of the times and go get a whole lot of money from banks. It's not going to happen. Can it happen? Yes, it can. But the likelihood of that happening to the average entrepreneur who sets up an LLC, the likelihood, and I hate to disappoint you, but again, just go talk to banks. Go talk to credit card companies. Go talk to lenders. They'll tell you. because these are the people that I've talked to. I know what people are telling you on the internet, but I'm telling you what bankers, lenders, people who are in the industry, conventional and creative industry, have told me. So all that other stuff is for the birds, unless you committing some type of illegal activity to get approved. And that's not what we're talking about, okay? So entity structure starts with the holding company. But then you have divisions. Most people don't understand that if you set up a holding company, and we'll probably talk about that tomorrow, but there are certain operational departments, which we call divisions, that may be taking place inside of the holding company. Because what happens is, if you got 20 different ideas, right, and you set up a holding company, some of those ideas may need to be turned into separate LLCs, but you need to learn how to vet those activities before you start all these different LLCs. I know people who, by the time I sat down with them, they had 15 different LLCs, and 8 of them should have been divisions. And they should have created enough activity in those divisions until they had a proof of concept to prove it out to be a separate LLC. But because they didn't understand that concept, guess what they did? They set up all these different LLCs, and then 8 months later, they got 15 LLCs. 8 of them are just sitting dead. They paying fees for banks. They paying Secretary of State fees every year. They paying for QuickBooks accounts, and they didn't need it because they could have taken those divisions, operate them temporarily inside of their holding company until there was a proof of concept. And then when it grew up, you set up a separate LLC because now it's making money. Now it's worth setting it up. All right. I hope what I just said made sense. Now, there are some things you don't want to be a division because it may be too volatile. But again, you need to learn the ins and outs of divisions, how they work, and what justifies you doing something inside of your holding company as a division. All right. And then we have subsidiaries. Subsidiaries are wholly owned, separate entities. Now, you may have other entities that are not wholly owned. Okay. So for example, I have my holding company, and then I have, let's say, 2 other companies that my holding company owns 100% of the ownership interest of both of these. Okay. But let's say, for example, you have a sibling or a friend or a cousin or somebody that you want to partner with, you want to do business with. Well, I'm not going to personally ask this person over here to set up a business with me and them both own it. I'm not going to do that. Why? Because all I want to do is own one business. I don't want my name on all these businesses. So there may be a partnership. A partnership may not be considered a wholly owned subsidiary like these two because you own 100%. But I'm not going to own a partnership with someone else. If that person wants to own their 50% or 30% or whatever of the partnership, they can. But I'm going to let my holding company own my percentage. That's how you start building an empire. All right. And so that's regarding partnerships, that's regarding subsidiaries or other things that you want to invest in because you want to elevate the purchasing power and the controlling power of the holding company through divisions and subsidiaries. So that's number 1. That's the first key to building an empire. And again, if you just follow me on this without getting lost in the sauce, you can see that your entity structure can be complicated or multi-layered. Let me put it that way. It can be complicated if you don't understand it, but it should become simplified for you to stand at the top of the mountain of the holding company, create divisions, go through your research and development, build your subsidiaries out as you need them so that you can start building the foundation. I think the entity structure is the foundation for your empire. That's what I personally think. All right. If you have any questions on holding companies, divisions, subsidiaries, how to file and form the paperwork for these, how to draft operating agreements, how to structure them. Anything you need to know about holding companies, divisions, and subsidiaries, I got you. All you need to do is reach out to me and my team. We have tons of resources. I personally don't think there are many people on the internet that teach and or talk about holding companies as much as I do. There are very few people who do it. And I've talked to a lot of people. I've had a lot of clients and students that I've worked with, many of whom told me that there's no one talking as much about the details, the techniques and the strategies about holding companies as much as you do. So we'll be more than happy to share information with you. So that's the first key to building your empire. Second key, we talked about this the other day, brand building. Brand building. And guess what? There is absolutely no end, in my estimation, there's no end to brand building. There's no end. I was just telling my team this morning in our morning meeting that even Coca-Cola still run ads. Like you still see ads of Frito-Lay and Coca-Cola. You still see ads for Toyota and Dodge. Why are all these massive multi-billion-dollar companies still running ads? They're still marketing. They're still getting in front of people. They still want to show up on your phone and on TVs. You know why? Because they're continuing to build a brand, and they understand brand building is a forever game. So if you want to build a brand, well, first of all, you should be committed to building a brand, not just trying to start a business. So all of y'all that's like, I want to start a business. I want to start making money on the side. I want to be an entrepreneur. You need to scratch that. And on top of that, you need to put, I want to be a brand. I want to be a brand. I want to be a brand. Now, a lot of people going to struggle with that because if you got false humility issues, pride issues, if you were taught, raised, and trained the wrong way, you're going to have an issue being a brand because grandma told you don't toot your own horn. You know, the Reverend said, you know, blessed are those who are quiet. Blessed are those who don't praise their own pawn. Well, guess what? What grandma said and what the Reverend said may have worked for them, but guess what? They not trying to be rich, maybe. They're not trying to help a lot of people, maybe. They're not willing to make the sacrifices to put their ego aside and their false humility aside with respect to them in order to build a brand. If you're going to build a brand, and I'm not the brand expert, I'm just a student of the game, learning every day, trying to figure out what do I need to do to make Ramon Preston a brand and more known, to get in front of more people. And my point is, before I even think about building a business or building a brand, I need to make a commitment to being a brand. So you have to be committed to being a brand. I want to be a brand. No matter how much Warren Buffett says, which I've never heard him say, but let's just assume he would say, I don't want to be a brand. I'm not a brand. Well, you are a brand, bruh. The fact that you are who you are. A brand is who you are. And the more you become that person to more people, the more of a brand you become. Am I correct about it? So if I start throwing off names, you're going to automatically associate those names with banking, with acting, with movies, with cars, with whatever the thing is that they are most known for. And so brand building requires you and I to let the world know. It requires us to let the world know who we are. Who do I want the world to know me as? I've got to be okay letting the world know who I am, okay? And I got to be consistent and committed to letting the world know who I am. Now, brand building is also about the value you bring. The value you bring. So if I'm going to be on the internet If I'm going to be on social media, if I'm going to continue to just show up creating content and sharing information, at some point, somebody that's watching me who may not know me, they're going to say or ask the question, who is this guy? Right? And if I'm telling you who my name is and what my name is and what my business is and what I do, what are you going to start doing? You're going to start Googling. You're going to start clicking links. You're going to start searching around. And if who I am resonates with you and you start to align with that, you're going to look at the value I bring. If I'm telling you I'm a business and real estate consultant, that's what I say. I'm a business and real estate coach. I'm a business and real estate teacher. Oh, by the way, on the ministry church side, I'm a preacher. My wife and I have a congregation. Because maybe you're in Atlanta looking for a church home. You want to be a part of a Christian community. So you might look into that. So whatever it is that I'm saying I am, whether it's in ministry or business, the more I say that, I have to also share value so that as I bring value to you, you start looking more into me. That's what building a brand is about. And then as I continue to share who I am and bring value based on who I am in these specific areas, I've got to be committed to execution and action with or without the right responses. So that means, am I happy because I post content every day? My son works full time posting content every day and I still only get 20 views. No, I'm not happy about that. I want 2 million views. I feel like it's worth 2 million. But just because I feel like what I share is worth 2 million doesn't mean the marketplace feels like it. And maybe the marketplace will feel like it if I can get in front of the marketplace. So that's why I said it's a continual, because I'm always trying to figure out, like, how can I do this better? How can I get in front of more people without just saying, oh, I'm going to run ads and spend a whole lot of money, which at some point I have to do that more and more. But the organic way would be to bring value. So brand building is the second key to building an empire. Remember, building an empire is not just about building a business. Building an empire is about building a brand, but building a brand is about being committed to being a brand. Do you all understand what I'm saying? The third key is tax strategies. Now, why are tax strategies important? Because number one, your taxes are your biggest expense. Your taxes are your biggest expense. And I do not know anyone who starts making money and who doesn't work towards lowering their taxes. Because in order for you to continue to make money and keep the money you make so you can invest it and multiply it, at some point you have to figure out the tax game. This is one of the most important components or keys to building an empire. There is no way. I mean, you could make $1 million a year, but if you're paying $500,000 in taxes and then the other $500,000 that you're left with is being taxed on everything that you buy, consumable items just every day, and you're not figuring out how to lower the taxes on the first 500 and manage the outflow of the second 500, most likely you could still make $1 million a year for the next 10 years and you will not build an empire. You will not become financially free. And this is a lesson we all have to learn, because I make stupid decisions all the time. I just told my team that the other day. I'm like, I always make stupid decisions with money that I'm not happy about once I make it. But sometimes I let my emotions get the best of me. Sometimes I let what I experienced coming up and what I feel like I missed out on get the best of me. So I don't always make the best decisions, but I'm so thankful to have a wife who's like, bruh, hit the brakes. At some point, you ain't going to just be spending money just to spend money. You need to manage the money you make, but one form of managing the money you make is learning tax strategies, okay? So whether you are a W-2 employee, whether you are a 1099 independent contractor, whether you're a business owner, or whether you're all three, you have to learn the ins and outs of tax strategies. And in order for you to begin this process, you've got to learn how to become more disciplined with whatever income you have coming in, whether you like the number of dollars you got coming in or not. You got to become more disciplined. You got to develop better habits. And one of the most important areas you need to become disciplined and develop better habits in is in your financial accounting. So as a W-2 employee, you still have a responsibility to offer financial management to yourself. You need to offer that to yourself. Hey, I'm going to get some type of financial management app. I'm going to track my income and expenses. Even if I'm not making enough money, I still need to know how much money I'm missing, how much money I'm not making. I need to know income, expenses, and cash flow. I need to learn that. W-2 employees typically don't understand financial management. Unfortunately, most 1099 contractors don't understand financial management. And I've seen this. The business owners a lot of times don't understand it because they're still thinking like W-2 employees and 1099 contractors. Tax strategies are tied to your accounting. So you're not going to really be able to implement a tax strategy if you're not tracking the money that your tax strategies are going to help support. So tax strategies mean nothing. You can learn all the ins and outs of tax strategies, but you ain't got no money to implement the tax strategies on, it ain't going to work. So it starts with discipline. It starts with developing habits with the $10 I got, with the $100 I got, with the $10.50 an hour I make, with the $200 I'm going to make on a side hustle Saturday. That's where my tax strategies start. And then as I start making more money, now this is one of the ways I learn to manage it, because I figure out how can I lower my tax liability, increase my profitability, and reinvest that money to get further down the road quicker. And it's a strategy game that you got to play. All right. And the fourth, this is going to be all for today. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. We'll come back around to the other 4 of the 8 keys. I just wanted to go into the breakdown of some of them so you can understand them better. The 4th key to building an empire will be your high ticket sales. So it doesn't matter what type of business you're in. At some point, you have to offer to the marketplace 3 things. You have to offer done for you products and services. You have to offer done with you products and services. And then you have to offer I'm going to show you products and services. Okay? So if I had to categorize these 3, when I do things for you, that would be considered consulting or just offering a high level service. So for example, let's say you need a holding company set up and other LLC. Let's say you need some LLC set up, but you don't know how to do it and you don't want to take a course to learn it. Well, guess what? You could call me or go to RamonPreston.com/LLC. You could put your information in there, pay, and my company will set up your holding company, set up your LLC, draft your operating agreement. We'll do everything for you. But that's a high ticket sale. That's a service that we're offering to do it for you. Or you may say, I don't want to pay Ramon at RamonPreston.com/LLC to set up my holding company, to do my operating agreement. I want Ramon to do it with me. I want him and his team to show me how to do it, but I want him to do it with me, right? Okay, well, you could join a coaching program. And inside my coaching program, I could walk you through how to do it. So I'm doing it with you. Maybe you don't want to pay for coaching. You don't want to be in a mentorship program. You don't want to invest that time and money for a whole year. Well, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to pay for a course where I show you how to do it. We have a do-it-yourself startup kit. You get what I'm saying? So even though I can do it for you, I still have to have some type of service that I could do it with you. And I need to have some type of service or product or course where I can show you how to do it. This is a part of building your empire, because through this, you're going to become more familiar with the different clients that you have, the ones who are the most valuable, and you're going to start accumulating. We'll talk about that tomorrow. You're going to start accumulating intellectual property, because in order for me to have a course, a coaching program, and a consulting service that I can do this work for you regarding holding companies, I got to know a lot about this stuff. I got to have a team. I got to have resources. I got to have information. And that means I got to have intellectual property. But that's going to be a part of building my empire. So those are the first 4 keys of the 8 keys to building a empire. Okay? Those are the first 4. We just covered these 4 today. Tomorrow we're going to cover the next 4. Systems and processes. We're going to talk about the different systems and processes you need. Asset accumulation. This is where it gets real good. Asset acquisitions and asset management. I think this is where the most multimillionaires and billionaires are going to be made in the next 3 to 5 years. I want to be in this group, man. I do not want to miss the wave. I don't want you to miss it. So if you learned anything, if I gave you any value today, please let me know in the comments, what was the big aha moment for you today? What was your biggest takeaway today? I would love to know what that takeaway is. And I would love for you to put it in the comments for me and my team to see it, and for others who are viewing to see it as well. All right, put it in the comments. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was from today's show. I think that was a lot of great information for you, especially if you're new to building an empire, holding companies, tax strategies, and the start and structure part of a business. I think today was absolutely amazing. We'll finish back up tomorrow, part 2, and look forward to seeing all of you. Okay, so give me a takeaway. Let me know what stood out the most, what your biggest takeaway was. For those of you that are working on building an empire, Natalie, hey Natalie, good to see you in the chat. Natalie said Coca-Cola still runs ads. Yeah, that's amazing. That's brand building. They're committed. They understand it's a forever game. That's a good observation. So we have a free business assessment workbook. If you would like to have access to our 17-page digital version of a 5-step process we use, when I sit down with my coaching clients or consulting clients, I walk them through a 5-step process to help them figure out what their goals need to be, how to quantify those goals with real numbers and metrics. We talk about their business structure, if they need to organize it or reorganize it. I go through their products, their services, their prices. We go through their systems, their processes, and then we put a game plan together for execution. I do this with every client that I have one-on-one sit-downs with, right? But the way I conduct my consulting and coaching, I took that process and I put it in the form of a business assessment workbook. Number one, because I want my clients and students to always have access to go back to perform their own self-assessments to make sure they're on track for what milestones they need to hit. But number two, I use it as a reference for my team, for any consultants that I train and work with, so that they can have some type of manual and outline. So this is the version that we use for our students and clients. I'm giving this to you absolutely free. All you have to do is click the link in the description. You can get access to my free coaching assessment workbook. It's a 17-page digital workbook, and we added some walkthrough videos to walk you through each of the 5 steps. Once you download the workbook and once you start going through each of the 5 steps in that process to assess your business, if you have any questions, we're always available for a strategy call. You could just text the word strategy to one of these numbers, screenshot that number or those numbers, and we'll be more than happy to give you any information, any direction, any insight. I mean, we've done this with hundreds and hundreds of people who some have joined our courses and our programs, some have not. Of course, I want you to join a program. I want you to buy products and services from me. I want you to do business with me. I'm a businessman. I'm committed to you. I'm committed to entrepreneurs and small business owners. So, of course, I want you to buy something so that we can have a deeper, closer relationship. However, we've had hundreds of people who have just taken good advantage of the opportunities we offer like this. And they reach out to us at some point. We answer 2 or 3 questions for them and they're good. And we're okay with that because we understand this is the business we're in. And as long as we can help provide resources and more information and direction for you as an entrepreneur and small business owner, you'll never forget what we've done. Whether you paid for it with your time or with an email or a phone number or a conversation, or whether you paid for it with money, joining a course or a program. Either way, we appreciate you. Thank you for joining the show. We'll be back tomorrow to focus on the second 4 keys for building an extraordinary business empire. Appreciate you all. Hey, I love you. Thank you for joining the show. We'll be back here, same place, same time, right here on the Ramon Preston Show. Peace. Have an amazing